What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Cowboy Capone. As you guys can tell, I did post something a little earlier about doing a little whiskey Wednesday today, with more of a kind of somber tone. I guess you guys can say. Um, and if you guys would like to join in on the conversation, I will link it. Give me 1 second. Let me get that going for you guys. Um, like I said, I am definitely want to do something tonight, a little bit different, um, and hopefully you guys will like this show. It is a lot about the Key Bridge, how iconic it was for people in Baltimore, and how it's very how do I want to put it? It's just very iconic to all of us. So as you guys may know, I do live in the state of Maryland. And if you guys want to join, I did just add the link in the video. But yeah, so yesterday, or yes, it was yesterday. At 1:30 to about 2 o'clock in the morning, the Dolly container ship hit the Key Bridge, and the Key Bridge fell. It's kind of sad per se. It's been very it's been a little weird the past few days, because you never thought something this catastrophic would hit home, close to home, especially very close to home. To me, I mean, the Key Bridge is hop, skip, and a jump away. But it's very I don't know. It in my own words, and I told my wife this. I did see the wreckage, and it there's no words in it. There's nothing you can really describe what you see. The best way I can put it to you guys, the cameras don't do it really justice at all. The best way I can describe it to you guys is post-apocalyptic. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, the concrete that went up to the metal, those are the only things that are left standing. And I'm a big dude. I do, I'm here. I've lived in Maryland for a while now. The Key Bridge was almost like a daily commute for me. I took the bridge at least 3 or 4 times a month, if not, a few times a week. There's a lot of things that I had to do, work wise, that was, that got me over that bridge and whatnot. So, nowadays it's a little, it's kind of like a stark reminder that not everything is built, not everything is truly built to withstand everything. Now I will say, everybody's come with conspiracy theories. Everybody said, this is a small, snippet of whatever is happening. In my eyes as a Marylander and a realistic person I am, it's an accident. Now there are a lot of fingers that I'd like to point. I'm only just a little ant in this world, but if my voice was to be heard, I think I would honestly, point the fingers at the shipping company. This ship has been noted 2 or 3 times to be repaired. Were those repairs done? We don't know. Those findings are still, they're still looking for those findings. But the fact that, a year after it was built, it was already asked to come back in for, repairs, for navigational systems, thermostats and stuff like that. So, that right there is electrical. The last time it was asked to come back in was due to the fact that it hit a wall in another port, and they weren't sure if it was still able to be seaworthy. Apparently it was. It sailed into Baltimore. I actually watched it sail into Annapolis. It's a huge ship. Huge ship. Pop, the link is in the links in the description there, but I'll resend it to you. But the ship itself was huge. They said it was close to 183,000 tons, and that's a big boy. I mean, that's a big ship, and that's, it's heartbreaking for me because, like I said, I drove that thing almost daily. I had a lot of great memories going over there. One of my favorite jobs I ever did was Trade Point, which is right there, right next to the bridge. And I love watching the ships come in and out. When flying in and out of Baltimore, that's the thing that everybody saw coming in was the Key Bridge. I mean, everybody saw the Key Bridge coming in, and if it wasn't, from one vantage point, you saw it from another. It's just, it's just hard to put into words right now. Let's see. And, for me being, the young guy that I am, and like I said, I've driven that multiple times. It hurts. It's an iconic piece of history, and it's been very see if I can get you guys in here. What's up, Pop?
There we go. It takes me a second to get logged on.
Ah, it's all good. How you feeling?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not feeling any pain, but I'm pretty busted up.
Yeah. Oi.
That's what she looks like now.
God, is that what old age brings me soon?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it was a rough day yesterday.
You're not lying, man. It's been kind of somber here in Maryland. I mean, you and I talked about this yesterday, like right after it seemed like right after it happened.
Yeah.
You were telling me that you were getting concrete over that way, and I've been doing jobs over there for a while, and it's weird because I mean I'm pretty sure for the time that you were in Maryland, that's one of the most, I won't say the most iconic, but that was so iconic to the area.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when you thought of the skyline of Baltimore, it was, the Bank of America towers, you saw the cranes and everything, and now you've got it was the Key Bridge. That's not there. And it's like, you're missing something.
No, and the only thing, like when I was watching the press conference there, the only thing I didn't understand was why the governor kept deflecting. They asked him 3 times, was there cars in the water? They know for a fact there was cars in the water. And I didn't understand in his comments why he kept deflecting. The only answer that he kept giving was, they stopped the traffic, which saved lives. Yeah, no shit. We know that. But the question kept getting asked to him was there vehicles in the water? And they were like, well, we seen them go in the water. You can see it from the video. He just
Yeah.
wouldn't confirm. They weren't asking for a number. They were like, did vehicles enter the water? Well, somebody stopped the Mayday, and they stopped more people from dying. Well, we got that, but I just didn't understand why he kept deflecting on that. I mean, that was way up here in the news comments up here. They're like, is everybody reading that the same way? Like, why won't he answer that question? Like, they weren't asking for a direct number who was in the water, but man, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, they somebody said that the NTSB actually did a sonar scan, and it looked inside of so the concrete flipped when it got into the water.
Yeah.
And what they're thinking is some of the vehicles were actually pinned underneath that.
Yeah.
And it's a heartbreaking thing to even think about, because as much as it pains me to say, like, yeah, bridge workers, they get paid good money, and this is kind of like what they get paid for, but you don't expect that to happen to you at all.
Oh no,
especially
no way.
At
I mean,
1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I traveled those times of the morning. There's a fair amount of people on the road, but it's not like Annapolis at 3:30. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe over there in that time, 3:30, 4 o'clock, where it's more lively. I mean, I've come out of the city during an Orioles game, and it's taken me 3 hours to go that 12 miles from the city back to Jessup. What that's going to, people don't understand what it's going to do to the area economically. I mean, everybody that's in Dundalk, they're going to have to go all the way up into Baltimore and all the way around. I mean, that's just, they have no clue of the devastation that's going to do to people. I don't know.
I mean, so like today, I actually had to go to Dundalk and I had to take the tunnels. And normally what I would do is I would just take the Key Bridge, first exit off, and I'm on Dundalk Avenue immediately. Yeah. And that was, split, probably a 30-minute drive from the shop. I had to go up the tunnel, and I had to go up to the 95 split all the way around. And, a lot of people don't understand, like, some people may understand, but a lot of people don't understand of how that was such a vital area. For one, I always said it was like in the early mornings that's always, I call it the heavens gates, because watching the sun come up from that was spectacular. I mean, I've got photos all over my phone of the sunrises, and it was just gorgeous. I mean, Bethlehem Steel Yard, that what was Bethlehem, now Trade Point, that's where I worked for a good amount of bit. Like we did a lot of the HVAC there, and just sitting there at lunch on the rooftops, watching the ships come in, and just looking at it was so iconic. And then I told Sid today, I mean, I drove to go pick up the metal and everything, and there was a little side road, and I took it, I went down and I saw it like in person. Words can't describe. I mean, like I told Sid, I blubbered like a little baby, but I mean, it's one of those things where like you never expect that happening so close to home. I mean, and
no,
literally, we could take the Bay Bridge at night on a clear night. You can see the Key Bridge.
Oh yeah. Yep. My buddy David was just asking me, he said, do we take that bridge? I'm like, no, they come down the Bay Bridge, but then when we went to Baltimore, they went to the aquarium. They didn't travel on that. I said, I went on it, unless you were going to go to the steel mill or some, the commercial part. That's not Baltimore. I said, it's on the other end. It's Dundalk. I said, could you see it on the Bay Bridge if you know what you were looking for? Like you and I could, because we'd look upstream like, oh yeah, we know what that is over there. Like when Kim and I fly down, we'll sit on a plane and just go, and we know where everything is, because we live there. But it's what's going to happen to all the cargo ships that are sitting there in the bay right now. I mean, they're talking, you're going to be at least a month before you get all that steel and everything out of the water so they can get out of there. I mean, my best guess was, I was thinking they were going to have to go down to Virginia and bring them off in there. I mean, and transport them up with with trucks. I mean, I just don't know how else they're if that's even a possibility because I don't know much about Virginia.
So, so from what we've heard, now a lot of our distributors come out of the ports, Carrier, like all the HVAC companies that we go through, all their stuff comes through the ports. They do have a what they call an intermediate port at Trade Point, which is they can bring at least 2 ships in and unload, but it takes like 12 hours. Right now in the bay, I mean, you know where these ships anchor out in the bay. There's actually 27 ships. That's the most I've ever seen in this time allotted. They have a lot of my buddies who are truckers, who are port truckers, are telling me that starting, I believe, Friday, they're going to start diverting the cargo ships with the containers down to Norfolk because they have the biggest port, the biggest exporting cranes down there that they can use. They're going to go down there. When it comes to like the oils and the sands and the coals and stuff like that, they're all going to Philly. So they're all deporting and
rail down,
and they'll rail them down. I don't think people realize of how bad this is going to be. And it's not just because, yes, I get it. Port of Baltimore has a lot of people who work there. Baltimore is the number 2 East Coast port, and people do not understand that. Is us in Miami. When Miami was shut down, we took the brunt of that. When Seattle and San Fran were on the brunt of everything, we brought in the most cargo on this side of the continent. And people are just like, oh, it's just a bridge. You guys can rebuild it. The ports will reopen. You guys will make that money back. It's not as easy as you think it is. I mean, and that's where, I get people want to make, jokes about stuff, kind of lighten up the mood. And that's, I'm all fair and game with that. That's fine. But when something's this is an open cut that it sucks. In my eyes, the way I see this is Baltimore will rebound. I mean, they rebounded from the riots. Everything became better. I think what's going to happen now, they'll clean up the Key Bridge. They'll have, that shipping lane open, but it honestly, it's not going to be fast enough.
No,
I mean, our prices of everything is going to skyrocket, and it's going to affect the whole Eastern Seaboard.
Oh yeah, I mean, right there, they showed one picture the morning that it happened. There's actually a ship that's docked that's unloading cement right there on the side. I used to go there. I mean, it's on just this side, but it's all the stuff on the other side that people don't. I mean, the mills are going to shut down. There's no way to get rid of their product. I mean, they just can't do it. There's, over that end. That's I don't know.
So Marco, I see. So yeah, Baltimore was very significant when it comes to ports. It's like I said, the main port. They did a lot of the hazmat stuff. So when coals, oils, like McCormick, Domino, they're based out of Baltimore, and all the spices and everything come through Baltimore. Detours around the Key Bridge add close to about 30 miles. You're not lying. I mean, if you take 695 west, you literally are traveling 30 extra miles. They do have tunnels, but I told Sid 11 o'clock today, it was gridlock. It was like it was rush hour. It's because you
got 4 or 5 times the more. Everybody's trying to detour that way. I mean, me trying to get home. Some night I wouldn't get home till 10, 11 o'clock. And, that's just because we're sitting there on a Friday night trying to get home that's normal traffic, and you're that long, let alone everybody from Dundalk coming over on this side trying to do what they got to do. Now everybody's got to go home. I mean, that it's just, I don't know. It's gonna affect a lot of people.
So and that's the one thing I told Sid too, was like, I had to stop for gas and to put back in the truck, and I stopped at a gas station, and I saw more out of state tags just to come see this than anything. And do I care? No. You want to make that 6, 7, 8, however far away you were to come see the bridge, cool, whatever. But you can't say that I know
it's gonna affect me, right? Yeah.
it doesn't affect nothing. It affects guys like myself, like you know, like the guys that I work with, people who, you know, who I know in Baltimore, who now have to go, you know, take that extra detour just to get out of the city. It affects us because we know this area very well, and we know it extremely well. Now we're sitting, you know, for me, I got to go back to Dundalk tomorrow. You know, I gotta check the schedules and see. All right, you know, when's the at least peak hour, and that's probably not till like noon. Even at noon, it's still gridlock. So it's just one of those things where, you know, I'm definitely worried as a Marylander because it's about to just get hell on earth because the ports are shut down. But I think at the same time, you know, Maryland's dealt with a lot of bad tragedies. And I actually texted Sid this when we had the Capitol shooting, this, and then there was something else that happened in Maryland recently.
Well, not just the Capitol shooting. Remember, you had the DC. Well, unless you're calling that the DC sniper. There, remember how they were driving around the Beltway? Remember just before I got down there in 2004.
There was that.
That was a lot. They were running up down the loop shooting.
Yep, there was one here in Annapolis too that killed 5 people at the Capitol Gazette. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah,
but literally
the 88 was 888 Bestgate.
888 Bestgate. Yep.
Yeah.
The day after all this stuff has happened, it has rained, and I told Sid, Maryland knows when something tragic happens, and it cries. So what happened today? Maryland cried because this was something that affects the state massively. And you know, as I've told everybody throughout the day, because, you know, people will text me like, hey, you know, it doesn't affect you, but how do you feel? I'm like, it doesn't affect me. That's 100% wrong. And I'm like, it affects me because that's my livelihood. I drive that. I need that, you know, every other day. I said, it affects me because now my childhood of when I first moved here to Maryland to now, I have those memories of going over the bridge. I have memories of fishing underneath that bridge, you know, just having fun.
Right.
It's gone. Like, my kids won't even know what the Francis Scott Key Bridge is, what the original bridge is. By the time,
and I'm wondering, you know, what their plan is later on. Are they gonna call it the Francis Scott Key Bridge? It's not really the Francis Scott Key Bridge anymore, but can it be? Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if they would rename the bridge. I mean, it's built in 77, so I mean, well after you know the Star Spangled Banner and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I think they can still honor the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I'm hoping they will keep the name. I mean, just because it's not the same bridge that they're in 77 doesn't mean it can't still be the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I mean,
I mean, the one thing that they've been saying recently was they're going to take ideas from the Tampa Bay Bridge or the Bradenton Bridge, that it's got the triangles and the beams that come out, or the wires. It's just going to be a flat bridge, but it goes up. I would like that, but that's all great and all. We got to make sure that something like that, like if they're going to build something like that, we have protection. So 194 million ton ship does not crash into this, and we have a version 2 of this.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, if you look at the construction of how it happened, not to put it in a negative light, but if you look at the concrete barriers on the bottom, it was due to happen. Yep. The bridges that they construct nowadays, what are those things, 30, 40 feet around? I don't care what kind of ship run into it. The Carnival cruise ship could run into it, and it's not going to come close to the bridge. But back in 77, when this thing was made, yeah, the top is all good, but on the bottom, it's not. So it's like I have a saying, it's all good until it's not. Well, it cost people their lives now because it wasn't. But how do you stop that? How do you stop people from going on a bridge and try to take one of them pylons out and try to rebuild it? You know, I mean, my thinking was they never touched it because it wasn't broke. Nothing ever hit it. Bam. You know, now it did. You know, 40-something years later, somebody ran that bridge, cost people all their lives. Now you're going to do it over. I'm pretty sure that anything that's built now, I don't think anything like that would ever, I don't care what ran into it. I don't think it would ever happen, but you know, it'll be a maze. You know, my guesstimation, there's probably 30, 40 people that are dead, you know, because I don't know if they really know a number. There's people on the bridge. There's 10 or 12 workers. There's people in the rigs. You know, they didn't say if anybody got hurt on the ship. At least we haven't heard about that up here. I haven't seen any live flights, so I haven't seen around, you know, what's going on or who's still who's still patrolling or if they have anything out there, you know, when they're going to move the ship. I mean, there's a whole lot that we don't get to see.
So of course, you know, being in Baltimore, I feel like we get the most information, and then it kind of like trickles through like other sources.
Right.
So as of right now, it has been confirmed that it's only 6 people have been unaccounted for.
Okay, that's good.
2 have been found, workers. So there are 4 still unaccounted for. They have had material of these workers wash up on shore. In Fort Smallwood, there were 3 helmets, like hard helmets, from the workers that were found. There was I think they said there were a pair of boots near the Amazon warehouse, which is 200, 300 yards away from where it happened. They said on the shore where the concrete kind of meets the land of the bridge, they did find another hard hat. So, you know, that's 3-4 hard hats right there.
Yeah, they were saying the tide was coming in, so that would push it up towards.
Yep.
Of course, they were saying that was going to hinder everything too, because it was not kind of low tide, but tide was out. It was coming in, so that adds a whole different ball of wax to everything too.
Well, and like I told, you know, I was telling people, I said, you know, for the ones who don't know the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, it is a hotbed of suicides. They jump off of it. And there is a point in Kent Island, which is what connects Annapolis to the Eastern Shore, which is Kent Island. It's called Dead Man's Point. And the current from the bridge will push that body towards Dead Man's Point. And cops will sit there for a day to wait for that body to show up. There is a point like that in the Patapsco River. It's at Trade Point, and they call that Dead Man's Curve. It curves into the shipping lanes, and from the stories that have been told and what I've heard is when those bodies would come in, when the old mill used to be there, it used to come through the waterways, and it would actually go into like the power plant itself, and they used to grind bodies up and wouldn't even know about it. So as I hate to say this because it's very gruesome. I hope that they are underneath that concrete, because I don't want a body popping up out of nowhere. It is Baltimore, so I mean, it could happen. But I pray that they are still underneath there and that those bodies are still intact. Where, you know,
and it's quite a current though. It's quite a current from down there, because even when that tractor trailer went off years ago, and it wasn't 2 or 3 hours later that thing was. That was a half a mile down the bay. I mean, it got in that current, and it was, you know, so you can only imagine. Of course, tide's coming in and going out. It can go anywhere.
Yeah. So from what they've also been told is it is now been deemed a salvage rescue. They are talking to the engineers and Coast Guard, and I believe natural disaster relief, if I heard that correctly today, that they're gonna try to get some type of massive rig out here from either, I think they said Texas or Louisiana, and they're gonna bring it around up into the bay, and it's called the Claw. And what it does is it just picks up big pieces of metal, puts it on a barge, and you ship it off. They're trying to figure out when that happens. Now, I will say one thing. I believe that this is going to be a shit show and a half, because with the amount of traffic that's already in the bay, to get something that big through, it's going to halt stuff even more. It's going to be just a massive undertaking, I think. But I think, you know,
and
hopefully
dangerous.
extremely dangerous. And I'm hoping that, you know, however this goes, it goes according to plan, and, you know, nothing bad happens. But, you know, at the same time, I'm not even sure how to even go to the opening day tomorrow. Like, how somber is it going to be at the O's game? Because it's opening days for the O's is tomorrow, and it's at 3:05.
But I don't, you know, with the strong support of the city, I think they'll do good. I think it'll be more. I don't know if it'll be somber. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll have a moment of silence, you know, for everybody, and they'll have some presentation about that. But I think it'll go better. I think they'll celebrate the Key Bridge, and not make it a Debbie Downer moment. I think that I mean, I would wage my paycheck on it that they moment of silence for everybody that lost their life on that bridge the other day. Knowing the city, you know, I've been there to games a million times, you know what I'm saying, knowing everybody around there. Yeah, the Red Sox hate the Orioles hate the Red Sox, but when it comes to gamemanship, I'm telling you, everybody that's down there. Who you guys playing tomorrow?
The Angels.
So you know,
Angels.
And that, you know, from one team to another, they'll have mad respect. I think it'll be a decent one. I would assume that they would do something like that, but yeah, it's like you say, coming out of the city, everybody's traveling from Dundalk over that way. So it's like you say, just getting to the normal places that you never thought for granted. It's like, wow, it's a bridge. It's not going anywhere. You know, you just you never contemplate that. You can't.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's something funny too, because, you know, I stopped and grabbed lunch today at the mall, and I went to Liz just to see, like, if they had any good hat sales or whatever. And this kid picked up an O's hat. Now, this kid couldn't be more than 7-8 years old, and asked the lady to embroider the Francis Scott Key Bridge, like the actual silhouette of the bridge on the hat. And I thought that was awesome.
Wow, that's sweet.
So I looked at Sid and I said, you know what? I got to get myself a new O's hat, and I'm going to put that on the side of this hat, because, you know, like I said, I've been here since 2003, and I've been over that bridge so many times that, you know, like I told Sid, we watched, there's drone footage now on YouTube from the NTSB, and there's a piece of road on the ship. I know exactly where I know exactly that road. I know what bump that is, how it feels in the truck, you know, everything like that. And I told her, I was like, I guarantee you my gum is still probably on that side of the bridge. I mean, I drove it like 2 days before, and I threw gum out. I guarantee you it's still sitting right there. It's just, you know, it's one of those things where you have those memories of, you know, going over it. You know what it feels like. I mean, one of the guys I work with, I got him car sick because they're at the tail end of it coming towards Dundalk. It's got those, and he got sick off of it. And I'm just like, dude, I'm used to that. So, you know, it's that type of stuff where people won't understand. Like, we know that stuff. We know what the
like me and my transport, I literally would stick it in third low, maybe it was third high some days, and just mash the throttle to the floor. Yeah, I'm only going 35, 40. But because once I'm loaded, I'm like 80, 82,000, you know, you get the whoomp to the whoomp to the whoomp going, and the cab's going up and down, my foot's going up and down. And finally you're like, yeah, the only way out of this is just full throttle. I can't go very fast because you can't go 100 over a loaded anyways. And just ride just a giant wave, boom, 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 boom. But you could keep that constant speed. That's the thing, like you said, unless you've been over it and know, whatever they build now, it's never going to be the same as what we remembered it. But of course, nothing's going to be the same anyways there. It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's like, there was a lady today, and when I was grabbing my lunch today, and she sat down, and, you know, she was like, yeah, my husband worked on that bridge. And I was like, it's funny because one of the guys that I've known for a little bit now, that I've become very close with, his grandfather worked on that bridge, and he put rivets on that bridge. And we're on a text chat and we're all texting each other and we're talking to his grandfather. We brought him in there and he was talking about all the memories he had of being on that bridge. And, this was not even 16 hours after it happened. His grandfather puts in the group chat and he goes, I hope the rivet that I put wasn't the reason why it fell down. And we all were just dying. I was like, dude, it's such a bad time for that. But it was so perfect because, we're all still sitting there like it was fresh that it just happened. The world was just finding out about it. But we're all sitting here like, this dude worked on it. Like he knew the rivets. He knew how many rivets he put in, where they were. And the one thing that he said, that watching that video of the ship hitting it and it falling, the one thing he said was, this bridge was built for wind, not built for a ship to hit it.
Right. No, right. You're absolutely right. Now, were the workers MTA? Were they all MTA workers or? No,
they were Miller Pipeline. So they were working on the undersides of it. And actually, no, they just put up. They were just putting up brand new power lines to it. So recently, they just passed a bill to where they were putting I want to say like a 5-inch conduit pipe up on the girder. So all that, they were getting new LEDs for the lights to say like, you go here, like whatever, like that. So they were just putting that in, and actually the span that they were on was the final span, and it was going to be finished by next week. And when we were driving back and forth, they just got done the east span, and they were going up the west. So they would close it at night. You get one lane each side. They would work on it. East got done, west was about to get done, and right where they were at was the last time I saw it, and it's no more. And a lot of people were like, oh, there's a lot of people that I know that watch or are going to watch this and be like, oh, it's a conspiracy. This was an attack on American soil. This was not. No. This was a simple mistake. This was, I
don't even know what I would call it a mistake. They lost power, 3 times on the ship?
2 or 3 times. Yeah.
They did have enough time to call a Mayday, so I think everything was followed as best as it could. I mean, they pretty much knew they're dead in the water. They dropped the anchor, and how can we not have as least many casualties? I don't think they knew how hard they were going to ram it. I think they knew they was going to hit or come close because they didn't have any propulsions or steering or nothing. You could see the black smoke come on, the backup generator or whatever that was firing. Something was firing up with all the smoke, but there's just not enough time with a vessel that size and that weight to do anything about it. I mean, I'm assuming the way most of them ports are, just like the Carnival cruise ship, you have one person from that area that guides it in and out. That has to be on each one of them vessels. I'm pretty sure it's not just the people there.
Yeah, this one had 2. For the size. They do it by the size and the tonnage of the ship. Okay. So for like Carnival cruise, it's 1. For your oil tankers, it depends on the size. It's 1 or 2. This one had 2. Now, when we had the I think it was
Evergreen.
Yeah. If that was the one that got stuck, that had a single captain in there a single port captain from Baltimore. It was supposed to have 2. That did come out that they were supposed to have 2, but with this one, they did have 2. And watching the video, the smoke came on, and the one thing that they said was it was more miraculous that they didn't hit that brand new power line, because it's not even 100 yards off that. It's a brand new power line. They just put that up. It just got finished last year. They're very surprised it didn't hit that first and then just smack into the ship. But they said if that would have hit the power line first, it would have stopped it. The damage would have been a lot less.
Wow.
I would rather, and this is I guess this is just me because I had to drive that bridge all the time. I'd rather them knock out power because they can fix that faster than they can fix a bridge.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's
And you know
devastating.
that was,
I mean, just look what that when that container ship got stuck. That
yeah,
was even a giant pain in the ass, the slowing down the harbor. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how they're gonna. I mean, all that, like you said, 30 ships or so stuck out there, just hanging out at the port. I mean, out there in the bay, just kind of hanging out. I mean, it's still going to take time to get that stuff down to where it needs to go, and then back
yeah,
up in the city. And everybody that's still coming in every day, it's wow.
yeah. It's just, I'm happy because I do know a lot of guys who work for the MDTA, who work for Miller Pipeline, and they all checked in. So I'm happy that those guys they're still around.
Good.
I'm happy. I actually was I felt very good when I saw and they talked to the last police officer that went across that bridge. He was actually chasing somebody down to tell them to get off the bridge. Like, I mean, lights and sirens behind this person going, like, he said 70, 80, telling the person, just floor it. I'm not going to give you a ticket. Just get off the bridge.
Go. Yeah.
And they floored it. And there's another video that I just watched. This lady who's an Uber driver literally had to pick up a customer from the Amazon warehouse, and the customer was running late. If that customer did not run late, that lady and that person that was in that rideshare would have been on that bridge. And she was thankful for that person. She actually gave that person's money back because that person saved her life. And you know what? If that was me, 100%, I would give you your money back plus probably $100 on top of that because you saved my life. Wow. And I'm with my family.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It's very somber here. And I for a lot of my friends who have moved away who have lived in Maryland, Brandon being one, you guys, Tori, all the people that we know that have moved away have been, saying all the great things about the Key Bridge. And then you've got people who, I've met through playing football, never stepped foot in the state of Maryland. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember the Key. No, bro, stop. Like you got to stop. Because that's what takes away, the true idea of the bridge,
the meaning of the bridge.
Yeah, and I'm extremely devastated because, like I said, that was a gorgeous bridge to go off of. It was fun as hell, especially hit them bumps going on the eastbound. But now we don't have that anymore, and that bridge, literally, it was very, very weird. It opened up March 24th of 1977, and it came down March 26th of 2023 or 2024.
Yeah, you're going, wow. I mean, just the
birthday, they literally celebrated the birthday of it. They actually had a small little parade going over the bridge that day, and that's the last time that ever happened. It's just very unsettling, I guess you can say, because you never know when something like this can happen. And the biggest thing, and listen to the radio, listen to the news. This lady goes, I lived in Manhattan when the Twin Towers came down. She's like, I live in Baltimore and now this happened. She's like, I've been through both of those. World Trade Center was a lot different compared to this, but she said the way that the city feels is about the same. So to us, the Francis Scott Key Bridge was our Twin Towers, and now it's gone, and we were all left with the hole, and it's going to be hard to replace that. I think as a Marylander, as a guy who lives, like I said, 20-25 minutes from the bridge. I mean, we'll all rebound from it, and we'll all be good. And we all support each other, even the people who've moved away, everybody's supporting Maryland. But I tell you, it's tough. It's very tough, and it is, and I can, I remember when the Boston bombings happened, dude. I had Boston on me everywhere I went, and everybody's like, "Oh, you from Boston?" I said, "No, but I got family up that way, and that's that's home. That's second home to me." And everybody's like, "Oh, I support that. Like, I appreciate that." Where I got a buddy of mine who called me and said, "Hey, can you send me an O's hat? Like, I used to live there. I want an O's hat. I'm sending you an O's hat, and I'll put the Francis Scott Key Bridge on there too." It's just stuff like that you just gotta, like, we all kind of have to
stick together.
Yeah, I mean, we all have to have those great memories of it, but it's gone now, and as people like to say, don't cry because it ended, just smile because it happened. And that's kind of how I think a lot of us are looking at it now. Like, we can't cry because it happened, but we're smiling because of all the great memories we had with it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be a good hot minute till we get something different, something new. But I in full effect, I mean, I'm 100% behind whatever Governor Moore wants to do. And if he does want to do something new, I support it. But as long as it can open up this shipping lane and we can get these ships in and out, that's all that matters right now.
Yeah, first thing I got to do is get in there and get that stuff out of the way, get that opened up. Now that itself is going to take, I would guess, a month or two. If I mean, just had to guess, the logistics of, like you said, getting something, get it in and around everything, and get it in there, and then you still got to get the pieces out of there. Whether they bring them right there to the port, upstream. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine they truck them too far, because you'd want to get them on and off as quick as you can, wherever you're going to do with them. I don't think you're going to leave that cement down in the bottom, because you need the depth for your ships to get through.
And they were dredging, like, recently. They were bringing dredgers out there, and they actually deepened the bay, because these ships that we're bringing in are huge. They're bigger. They're getting bigger, so they actually had to widen it out about, I think they said that the depth, they brought it about 14, 15 more feet deeper than it originally was, and it's about 50 to 60 foot wider. So I mean, these channels are huge.
Like, big.
They're built for mega ships, and that's what that's what Baltimore wanted. Was they got these new cranes in for these mega ships. They were coming in. We had one mishap with one ship, and now this one, I wouldn't call it a mega ship. It was kind of on that lower class of it, but it definitely had some mega ship mentality because of just the tonnage weight that it was and everything like that. But yeah, that's it. It's been a very rough past 40. Yeah, especially like 48 hours since it's happened. It's going to stay with us for a while.
Oh, it's going to sting. It's going to sting for a while.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be different for, when you and Mom come down and fly down, you don't see it no more. It's going to be a lot different.
It's just going to be a hole there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, that's where it's supposed to be. It's just, it's different.
Yeah, I told Sid, I was like, going back to Dundalk tomorrow, I may have to Dukes of Hazzard that and see if a truck can make it. see how fast I can go off that. See if Travis can make that gap.
And you think that they'd still keep that same connection because the roads are there. You know what I mean? It's just the steel that's gone. So, we'll see what they get. But I'm pretty sure that whatever they build now, whatever the concrete structures are going to be below it, they'll do it in a way that they don't. I can't say nothing will happen because, hey, nobody thought this was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's where everybody's mindset was, this bridge was here to stay. Like, this was the archway into Baltimore, into the harbor, and that archway got taken down. I don't think anybody ever thought, like, hey, this bridge ain't moving. This, it's been through hurricanes and it's been through massive, truck convoys, whatever has been going over that. It's still standing, and then just one ship hitting it just takes everything down. But Well, it's been a solid talk. You know, it's been
Yep.
great reminiscing on some good times, especially on them bridges. You know, it's definitely something that I will cherish, having driven over it many, many times. And I know you've got those great memories as well. And you know that it lives on with us. You know, we're the next. You know, we're the guys who can tell our kids, you know, hey, I drove that bridge before it was gone. Like I was in that era of when the original Francis Scott Key Bridge was there. And you know, now it's, you know, my kids and Andrew and damn, I don't even remember his other kid's name.
Oh, Lucas and Harper.
Thank you. Lucas and Harper. Yeah, it's Lucas and Harper. You know, they're going to be the ones driving the new bridge. You know, so it's going to be wild to see what they come up with.
Comes next,
to see,
right?
Yeah, to see if there's like an homage to it. If they keep that, you know, maybe there's like a little steel girder somewhere that was a piece of it, or you know, if they do keep the concrete lanes, that's great, because I'm still going to remember the potholes in those if they don't fix them. So you know, it was great having the bridge here. It was great, you know, being able to drive it and, you know, looking on both sides of the harbor and looking out into the Chesapeake Bay. But, you know, all good things have to come to an end, but this definitely wasn't the end that we were expecting for it.
Absolutely.
So, guys, it's been a great night. Pop, I want to thank you for coming on, just talking, you know, about this. It's been kind of a good little time that we had to talk about this. And guys, I hope you come back next Wednesday. I will actually have my knucklehead of a brother hopefully get on. He was supposed to be on this week, but you know, with things going on, it's all good. But till then, guys, go ahead and follow myself on X at Cowboy and the Boys on X, and follow us here on Boys in the Tank, and tell us what you're in the tank for. Of course, this week I'm in the tank for the Francis Scott Key Bridge, something that I'm very, very close to. But other than that, guys, Pop, I hope you have a great night. Recover, and we'll definitely have to come up and see you soon.
All right, I'll chat with you guys next time you're on.
All right, sounds good, Pop.
Thanks,
we'll talk
bud.
to you. All right, bud.